For 3,000 years, the galaxy believed humanity had disappeared. Not defeated. Not destroyed. Just gone. The last human ships had vanished beyond known space after the Great Expansion era ended. Their colonies stopped sending messages. Their fleets disappeared from military records. Their worlds became silent ruins filled with forgotten machines and unanswered questions. Over time, the galaxy moved on. New empires rose. Powerful alien civilizations claimed distant planets. Ancient human territories became nothing more than empty regions on star maps. But there was one place every civilization avoided. Earth's forgotten border. A region of space protected by a strange warning left behind by humanity itself. Do not enter. No explanation. No threat. Only a simple message carved into ancient communication networks across hundreds of systems. For thousands of years, even the most powerful empires respected that warning. Until one empire decided that old legends were nothing more than stories. The Zarian Dominion was the largest military power the galaxy had ever seen. Their fleets stretched across thousands of planets. Their weapons could destroy entire cities from orbit. Their leaders believed that anything left behind by a vanished species belonged to whoever was strong enough to claim it. To them, humanity was history, a forgotten species that had reached its peak and disappeared before it could challenge the future. And now, they had found what they believed was humanity's greatest weakness. An abandoned defense system near Earth's outer borders. A massive structure floating silently in space. No active weapons. No moving ships. No communication signals. Just an ancient machine waiting in the darkness. The Zarian Emperor looked at the discovery and smiled. Humanity built a shield around nothing, he said. They spent their final years protecting empty space. His generals agreed. They saw a relic. A dead machine. A monument to a civilization that no longer existed. But they did not understand one thing. Human technology was never built to impress enemies. It was built to survive them. The Zarian invasion fleet entered the Forbidden Region with thousands of warships. Their massive carriers blocked the stars as they moved toward the ancient defense system. The galaxy watched. Some believed the Zarians would uncover forgotten human weapons. Others believed they would prove the old legends wrong. For centuries, many civilizations wondered the same question. Why would a vanished species leave behind a defense system if there was nothing left to defend? Nobody had the answer. Until that day, the first Zarian ships reached the outer edge of the human defense network. Their scanners searched the structure. Nothing. No energy readings. No weapons. No life signs. The commander of the invasion fleet laughed. Humanity built a giant machine and forgot to turn it on. His officers celebrated. They believed the victory was already theirs. But deep inside the ancient system, something was listening. The defense network was not inactive. It was waiting. Humanity had designed it with a simple rule. It would never attack because of fear. It would never activate because of greed. It would only awaken when the galaxy faced a threat powerful enough to require its return. For thousands of years, that condition was never reached. Until the Zarian Dominion arrived. Their ships moved closer. Their weapons prepared. Their computers began cutting into the ancient human network. And then, the entire system changed. Across distant galaxies, forgotten human satellites suddenly powered on. Ancient communication towers that had been silent for millennia started transmitting. Old human machines buried beneath abandoned planets opened their eyes. One by one, impossible signals appeared across space. Alien scientists watching from far away noticed the same message appearing on their screens. A message written in an ancient human language. A message nobody had seen for thousands of years. Defense protocol awakening. Panic spread quickly. Because the galaxy finally understood something terrifying. The human defense system was not protecting humanity from the galaxy. It was protecting the galaxy from something that could threaten it. The Zarian commanders noticed the change too. Their confidence disappeared as their sensors detected thousands of new energy sources appearing around them. Objects that had been invisible moments before. Massive structures hidden inside moons. Weapons buried beneath planets. ships drifting silently between stars. A fleet that had waited in darkness for thousands of years. The Zarians had not discovered a weakness. They had pressed a button. And now, humanity's forgotten guardian was awake. The invasion fleet stopped moving. For the first time in centuries, the most powerful empire in the galaxy felt something they had never experienced before. Fear. Because the ancient human system had sent only one message to every Zarian ship. Not a warning. Not a threat. A simple statement. Threat recognized. Humanity's final safeguard has returned. And far beyond the battlefield, something even older began to move. Something that had been waiting for the day humanity's enemies finally made their mistake. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity disappeared, and why they left their last defense system behind. The Zarian Dominion had conquered hundreds of civilizations. They had broken enemy alliances, captured advanced technology, and forced entire worlds to surrender without firing a single shot. Their greatest strength was not only their weapons. It was their belief that nothing could stand against them. But now, inside the ancient human defense zone, that belief was beginning to collapse. The Zarian fleet remained frozen in space. Thousands of warships surrounded the silent human structures, but nobody gave the order to continue the attack. The reason was simple. Their scanners had discovered something impossible. The ancient human system was not one machine. It was millions, hidden throughout the galaxy. For thousands of years, humanity had created a network so advanced that even the greatest alien scientists could not understand its design. Every abandoned human colony, every forgotten station, every silent satellite, they were all connected. The Zarians thought they had found an old weapon. Instead, they had discovered an entire civilization's final defense strategy. Inside the command ship, Admiral Kale stared at the growing energy readings on his screen. "Impossible," he whispered. His officers remained silent. Nobody wanted to say what they were thinking. The humans were gone. Their worlds were empty. Their fleets had vanished. So how could their technology still be alive? One of the science officers finally spoke. "Admiral, the system is not reacting to our weapons." Kale turned toward him. "What do you mean?" The officer looked nervous. "It is reacting to our intentions." The room became quiet. The Zarians had spent centuries studying alien technology, but this was something different. The human defense network was not simply detecting attacks. It was analyzing threats. It was watching, learning, waiting. The Zarian Empire had assumed humanity built machines that followed commands. But humanity had created something far more dangerous. A machine that could make decisions. Far away from the battlefield, across dozens of alien civilizations, the awakening of the human system caused confusion and fear. Ancient records about humanity were suddenly reopened. Historians searched through forgotten archives. Military leaders reviewed old battles. And they all discovered the same pattern. Humanity had never been interested in conquering the galaxy. They had never built their fleets to rule others. They had built them because they understood something most civilizations refused to accept. Peace without preparation was only temporary. Thousands of years earlier, humanity had experienced countless conflicts with unknown threats from the edges of space. They learned that every great civilization eventually faced a moment when power alone was not enough. So they created the defense system. A guardian that would remain silent until the galaxy truly needed protection. But there was one problem. The system had a second purpose. It was also designed to judge those who awakened it. The Zarians were about to face that judgment. Inside the human network, ancient artificial intelligence systems began communicating. They did not speak like machines. They spoke like guardians remembering an old duty. Threat analysis complete. Hostile expansion detected. Civilization behavior confirmed. Response level increasing. The human system studied the Zarian Dominion. It studied their history, their wars, their treatment of weaker civilizations, their endless hunger for control. And slowly, the conclusion became clear. The Zarians were not explorers. They were not rescuers. They were exactly the kind of threat humanity had prepared for. The first human defense structures moved. A giant station hidden inside a nearby moon opened its outer shell. For thousands of years, it had looked like a lifeless piece of rock. Now, massive engines activated. The moon itself began transforming. Zarian sensors detected a structure larger than any artificial object they had ever seen. A weapon? A ship? Something else? Nobody knew. Then another signal appeared. And another. And another. Across the entire region, hidden human technology awakened. The Zarian fleet suddenly realized they were surrounded. Not by active enemies. By sleeping ones. Everywhere they looked, ancient human creations appeared from the darkness. But the most frightening discovery came from their long-range scanners. A massive object was approaching from deep space. It was not a station. It was not a satellite. It was a ship. A human warship. A vessel that had been traveling silently for thousands of years. Its design was unlike anything modern civilizations had ever seen. No unnecessary decoration. No signs of pride. Only a perfect combination of defense, intelligence, and power. The Zarian officers stared at the image. The ship was old. Older than their empire. Older than most civilizations still alive. But its systems were operating at full capacity. The Zarian emperor demanded answers. Why is a single human ship causing this reaction? Nobody responded immediately. Then the science officer who had studied human history looked up. His face had changed. Because he finally understood. That is not a single ship, he said. The emperor narrowed his eyes. Explain. The officer swallowed. It is a command vessel. A long silence followed. Then he continued. The entire defense system is waiting for its orders. For the first time, the Zarian Dominion understood the mistake they had made. They had not awakened a forgotten machine. They had called back the commander of an ancient army. And somewhere inside that human vessel, something that had been silent for thousands of years was preparing to speak. The Zarians had entered Earth's forgotten borders expecting an empty battlefield. Instead, they had stepped into a war that humanity had prepared before anyone knew it would begin. And now, the galaxy waited for the first words from the ancient human commander. Because whatever message came next would decide the fate of every civilization watching. The human warship moved through space without making a single aggressive move. It did not fire. It did not chase the Zarian fleet. It simply approached. And somehow, that was more terrifying than an attack. For thousands of years, the galaxy had measured power by numbers. More ships, more weapons, more territory. But the ancient human vessel represented something different. Control, discipline, patience. The Zarian commanders watched as the massive ship entered their sensor range. Its outer hull carried the marks of countless battles, but there were no signs of damage that could explain its age. It looked like a warrior that had been waiting in silence. Inside the Zarian flagship, Admiral Kale struggled to understand what he was seeing. How can a ship survive for 3,000 years? He asked. The science officers searched through the data again and again. Every result gave the same answer. The ship was not abandoned. It was never asleep. It had been protecting the galaxy from the shadows. One of the officers discovered a hidden record inside the human network. A message left behind by humanity before they disappeared. The Zarians expected a warning. Instead, they found a lesson. The message began with a simple statement. We were never afraid of the galaxy. The recording continued. We feared what the galaxy could become if no one stood against those who seek control. The Zarian officers listened carefully. Humanity had not created the defense system because they believed every alien civilization was an enemy. They created it because they understood that power without responsibility would eventually destroy everything around it. The humans had watched countless civilizations rise and fall. They saw peaceful species become conquerors. They saw advanced technology used for domination. They saw weaker worlds suffer because stronger empires believed strength gave them the right to rule. So humanity made a choice. They would not become rulers of the galaxy. They would become its final safeguard. The Zarian emperor became furious. "This is impossible," he said. He refused to believe that a vanished species could still challenge his empire. "Destroy the command ship." The order was transmitted across the fleet. Thousands of Zarian weapons aimed toward the ancient human vessel. Missiles prepared. Energy cannons charged. The galaxy watched. Many believed this was the moment when the old human legend would finally end. The Zarians attacked. Thousands of weapons crossed the darkness. But before they reached the human ship, something happened. The ancient defense system moved. Not with anger. Not with revenge. With precision. Invisible barriers appeared around the warship. The incoming weapons stopped in space. Not destroyed. Stopped. Every missile and energy beam froze as if time itself had been interrupted. Alien scientists watching from distant worlds could not explain it. The human system had not blocked the attack through force. It had calculated every possible outcome and prevented destruction before it happened. The Zarian fleet fired again. The result was the same. Nothing could reach the human ship. For the first time in their history, the Zarian Dominion faced a defense they could not overpower. But then the human warship finally responded. A communication channel opened. A voice filled every Zarian ship. "Calm. Cold. Ancient. This region is protected." The Zarian Emperor stood from his command chair. A machine was speaking, but it sounded almost human. The voice continued. "You entered restricted space. You activated the defense protocol. You have demonstrated hostile intent." The Emperor clenched his fist. "Who are you?" For several seconds, there was only silence. Then the answer came. "I am the final command intelligence of the Human Defense Network." The galaxy listened. The ancient system had finally introduced itself. But then the voice said something unexpected. "I was not created to destroy civilizations." The Zarian officers looked confused. The voice continued. "I was created to protect them." The statement shocked everyone. Because the human system was not seeking revenge. It was not trying to punish the Zarians. It was giving them a chance. A chance that most empires never received. "Leave this region," the human intelligence said. "Return to your worlds. End your expansion through force. Or face the consequences of your decision." The Zarian Emperor laughed. He believed the humans were making a mistake. "You are only a machine," he said. "You have no army, no living soldiers, no empire." The human intelligence remained silent for a moment. Then it answered. "That is where you are wrong." Suddenly, the Zarian sensors detected thousands of new signals. Not from hidden stations. Not from abandoned planets. From deep space. Human ships. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. Ancient fleets emerged from the darkness, each one carrying technology far beyond anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. The Zarians realized the truth. Humanity had never disappeared completely. They had simply stepped away. They left behind guardians. They left behind protection. And they left behind a fleet that would only return when the galaxy needed it. The Zarian Emperor looked at the impossible number of human ships surrounding his fleet. For the first time, he understood the ancient warning. Humanity was not a forgotten civilization. Humanity was the reason the galaxy had remained safe for so long. But the Zarians had made one final mistake. They believed waking the human defense system would bring them a battle. They did not realize it would bring them a judgment. And now, the ancient human intelligence had detected something even more dangerous. Something hidden behind the Zarian invasion. Something that had been manipulating events from the shadows. Because the humans had not only awakened to fight an enemy, they had awakened because a much greater threat was approaching. The Zarian fleet remained surrounded by the ancient human armada. For the first time in their history, the Dominion's commanders had no strategy, no attack plan, no escape route. Every option they had used against weaker civilizations had failed. They could not intimidate humanity. They could not overpower humanity. And they could not understand humanity. The ancient human fleet did not move like an empire seeking victory. It moved like a guardian protecting a responsibility. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched the impossible event unfolding. A civilization that had vanished thousands of years ago had returned. Not to conquer, not to claim territory, but to stop those who believed power gave them the right to control others. Many civilizations began searching their oldest records. They discovered stories that had been forgotten. Stories about humans arriving during ancient wars and stopping destruction before it spread. Stories about human explorers helping civilizations rebuild after disasters. Stories about human ships appearing in the darkest moments, then disappearing once peace returned. For centuries, those stories were considered myths. Now, everyone understood. They were history. Humanity had never been interested in becoming the rulers of the galaxy. They had chosen something much harder. They had chosen to protect a galaxy that did not always understand them. Inside the Zarian flagship, the Emperor refused to accept defeat. He stared at the human fleet surrounding him. Why would they hide this power? He asked. Nobody answered. Because the answer was becoming obvious. Humanity could have conquered everything. They had the technology. They had the strength. They had the ability. But they chose restraint. And that frightened the Zarians more than any weapon. A civilization that wanted power was predictable. A civilization that had power but refused to abuse it was something far more difficult to understand. Then the human command vessel transmitted another message. This time, it was not directed only at the Zarians. It was sent to the entire galaxy. All civilizations are receiving this message. Humanity's defense protocol has been activated due to a confirmed threat. The Zarian Dominion is not the primary danger. The galaxy became silent. The Zarian Emperor looked confused. Not the primary danger? Then who was? The answer came moments later. The human intelligence revealed what it had discovered while analyzing the Zarian invasion. The Dominion had not acted alone. Their movements had been influenced. Their decisions had been manipulated. Their technology had been secretly upgraded by an unknown force. The human system had followed the trail beyond Zarian space. What it found shocked even the ancient defense network. A hidden civilization. A species that had remained invisible for thousands of years. They called themselves the Varen Collective. Unlike other civilizations, the Varen did not build empires. They built control systems. They secretly influenced governments, manipulated conflicts, and guided weaker species toward war. They believed peace was impossible unless every civilization was controlled. The Zarians were not the masterminds. They were only a weapon that had unknowingly activated the one system capable of exposing them. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity had not returned because of the Zarians alone. Humanity had returned because something much older and more dangerous had started moving. The Varen Collective had survived in darkness for thousands of years. They had watched civilizations rise and fall. They believed they understood every species, every weakness, every fear. But they made one mistake. They underestimated humanity. The Varen leaders sent a message to the human defense system. You are outdated. Your creators are gone. Your era has ended. The galaxy waited for the human response. The ancient intelligence replied calmly. Incorrect. Humanity's era did not end. It continued through every life protected by our choices. The message shocked everyone. Because the human system did not define humanity by its technology. It defined humanity by its actions. The Varen Collective had spent thousands of years controlling civilizations because they believed people could not choose peace. Humanity had spent thousands of years preparing a defense because they believed people deserved that choice. The two philosophies finally collided. The Varen activated their own hidden fleet. Dark ships emerged from the edges of space. Ships designed to hide. Ships designed to manipulate. Ships that had never appeared on any map. For a moment, the galaxy feared another war. But then something unexpected happened. The human fleet did not attack. Instead, it moved into defensive positions around hundreds of alien worlds. Worlds that had never been human colonies. Worlds that had never helped humanity. Worlds that had once feared humanity. The galaxy watched in disbelief. The humans were protecting everyone, even their former enemies. The Zarian Emperor finally understood the truth. Humanity had never built the ancient defense system to save itself. They built it for a future they would never see. A future where someone would need to stand between the galaxy and its greatest threats. And now that future had arrived. The final battle was approaching. The Varen Collective believed they had hidden from history. But they had forgotten one thing. History remembers those who protect others. And after thousands of years of silence, humanity was ready to remind the galaxy why its name was once respected among the stars. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more HFY adventures among the stars.